Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
Today we're going to be talking about 1987's Catch the Heat.
Catch the meat!
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no field coach.
Hello, Mr. Man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
You could have looked decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
If you've never listened to this show before, on this podcast, Chris and I discuss exploitation movies from the 1960s through the 1990s. So Catch the Heat, or sometimes referred to as Feel the Heat, depending on where you look online, or even some of the trailers, not sure why they changed the name, is quite an anomaly, actually. This movie, never heard of it before. I found it in a guide full of crazy videos, a psychotronic video guide.
Oh, nice.
Which I recommend to any listener of this podcast if you want to just brush up on all the weird, wacky, crazy movies out there.
And this is not a small book. This is a tome.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if
You
this
could use it to kill any sort of bug. I mean, you could use it to kill a rat.
I mean, no, this could fall off a table and kill a small child.
You know what? It could. We're looking at it right now. It's a good, 600 pages.
Yeah. Cracked anything.
So I cannot find much information at all about this movie online. Are you surprised?
Not at all.
1987, an MGM release. Well, at least they own the rights to it now. Honestly, it's amazing this movie was even made. It's even more insane, though, when you find out who was involved in the making of it. And I can't even find out if it was given a theatrical release, but if it did, oh my God.
You mean there's not going to be a line around the block?
Well, before we get into it, I'm thinking maybe we should start playing the trailers before we get into the cast and the crew. So let's take a listen to the trailer.
You figure I'll turn this dumb bastard on, and while he's huffing and puffing, you'll grab the gun, right? Where do you think you're going? Freeze!
April Fool.
She one of you?
This team is the government's secret weapon
Federal agents do not hit people in the head.
You're under arrest.
Freeze!
in the war on crime. They're following a trail of intrigue and murder over the hills of San Francisco to the underworld of Argentina.
You got right to work.
A hot trail to a cold-blooded killer.
You got anything on him?
Jesus, the body's washed up. I told you to anchor it, didn't I?
What do we got here?
They mutilated her breasts.
To hit him where it hurts, she's got to live in the line of fire, under suspicion.
You ain't bugging me again.
And under the gun. Feel the Heat. From Sterling Sullivan, Academy Award-winning writer of The Poseidon Adventure, and In the Heat of the Night, David Dukes, Tiana Alexander, Rod Steiger.
Who the hell are all these guys in the white hats? Definitely not on our side.
He makes being a cop an adventure. She makes it an art with a twist. When they're on fire, stand back and feel the heat.
I mean, just the trailer alone, you think you're in for a ride of the most kick-ass exploitation film you'll ever see.
Oh, yeah, that trailer really sells it. By the way, called Feel the Heat in the trailer.
Yeah.
It's not the name of this movie.
No.
So it's really odd why they kept changing the name of it. I think the best way to describe any information I've found about this movie, because even though you can't find any information online, I still did my digging, and I still got some real interesting theories and information on why this movie was made and why it was probably a terrible idea. And when we go into this, I don't know if you realize the amount of heavy hitters involved with the making of this movie. It's staggering.
Huh.
We are talking Oscars. We are talking, oh boy, Chris, I mean, prolific actors. This movie is a real disaster from start to finish, and the names involved with it make it even more of a disaster, I'd say. So let's start. Joel Silberg, the director of this movie, 20 directing credits. Was making movies in Israel until a certain production company brought him overseas to direct a few movies. That would be Cannon Films.
Ah, yes.
First American film, 1984, Breakin'. So this is from the director of Breakin'. 1985 followed that up with Rappin'. Neither of them have G's.
Nor do they make a G.
1986, Bad Guys, which is a direct-to-video wrestling movie that stars Adam Baldwin and the Sergeant Slaughter.
Hold on, I gotta go make an order on Amazon right now. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Go look up the poster for Bad Guys. It is like some bizarre Red Scare movie. Like, I swear to God, it's like a big Russian flag and a guy riding like a nuclear weapon. Like, he's like riding a bomb.
Like it's kind of a Strangelove kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a really, really weird poster. It looks like it has nothing to do with the actual movie because I saw the trailer and it's nothing like that. In 1990, Lambada, which was another Cannon film trying to capitalize on a dance craze. So he's the dance craze guy, you know. You got Breakin'. They're like, hey, bring that Breakin' guy back. We'll get him do this Lambada dance, you know. People are going to remember this for decades. I challenge anybody to recognize what the Lambada is today.
It'll be the godfather of dance movies.
Quit directing in 1996. He passed away in Israel 2013. He was 86 years old. Now we get into the more heavy hitters here. The producer of this movie, Don Van Atta. I wouldn't say heavy hitter, but very interesting career, especially when you consider this movie. One of the few movies he produced, but he certainly had a successful career in TV. Some of his 19 credits include producing 29 episodes of 1981's Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks.
Because we've heard this name before. Bosom Buddies. I think this was brought up in a previous episode of someone's credit. And
wait, you've never heard of or seen Bosom Buddies?
No, I have not.
Oh, it's like some show where Tom Hanks and his roommate have to dress up like girls so they can stay in this apartment.
Is that one kind of what that short-lived show Working It was trying to copy?
I'm sure it was. I have no idea.
Yeah, buy the complete 2 episodes now at Best Buy.
The complete series comes on a memory card.
Yeah. Actually, it's CDR.
So here's even worse. 1982, he produced 51 episodes of what I probably think might be the worst show ever made. It's called Madam's Place.
Please tell me it's about a rub and tug.
No, it is with that ventriloquist Waylon Flowers and his like woman puppet, Madam. And he had a talk show where he apparently interviewed people with the puppet. So, Jesus Christ.
Did the puppet have its own like table like Johnny Carson?
You know what, Chris? I didn't have the
He
heart
was
to
like
look
the
it
Ed
up.
McMahon to the...
I didn't have the stomach to look that one up. 1985, here's where he went into movies. 3 movies in a row. 1985, Pray for Death. 1987, Rage of Honor. Those are just 2 kung fu movies.
Yeah.
1987, Catch the Heat. And his last credit, from 1987 to 1992, he produced 50 episodes of this show. And from 93 to 95, he co-executive produced another 28 episodes, Full House.
Well, now I know where the ventriloquist came in.
He also directed, the only directing credit he has is of 1 episode of Full House titled Jesse's Girls. Now here we get to the real scary heavy hitter that you're like, what the fuck was this man thinking? But I know what he was thinking, and you're going to find out.
All right.
The writer of this movie, Sterling Silliphant, very, very, very big career as a writer. Started as an advertising exec for Disney and Fox before eventually becoming a screenwriter in the 1950s. He has 71 writing credits, including some very, very big movies. 1960, Village of the Damned.
Oh, really?
1967, his biggest hit and most important credit, In the Heat of the Night, won the Oscar for Best Screenplay. It stars Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger. Now, you might hear that name in a bit. The movie itself also won Best Picture and Actor for Rod Steiger. 1971, Murphy's War, which starred Peter O'Toole. 1972, the original The Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
1973. Now, here's an interesting shift from Poseidon Adventure to 1 year later, he writes Shaft in Africa. 1974, went on to write another movie nominated for Golden Globes this time called The Towering Inferno.
Yes.
Which is a movie that stars Paul Newman and Steve McQueen trying to escape some burning office building.
Yeah.
1975, The Killer Elite, directed by Sam Peckinpah and starring James Caan and Robert Duvall and somebody else. We'll get to that in a bit.
Oh, okay.
1976, The Enforcer, which is a Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry movie. 1977, Charles Bronson's Telephone. 1978, The Swarm, a movie about killer bees invading America, starring Michael Caine. I was like, whoa, haven't heard of that one, but sign me up.
The bees.
Those bees are from Africa.
Perhaps get some honey.
Do you think that movie gets racist at all?
It's got to.
1978, they're like, these damn African bees. They're taking over our cities.
String them up.
1987, now this is... He wrote a lot of things, but I'm just writing down the highlights. Chris, you are going to love this. In the same year that he wrote Catch the Heat, 1987, he wrote Over the Top.
Yeah! Oh, love Over the Top.
One of Chris and I's favorite movies.
Yeah.
We really want to cover that movie at some point.
Yeah.
His last credit, 1995, Gunman 2. He honestly has too many credits to names. He also wrote over 50 novels. He passed away in 1996 at the age of 78. And you might be wondering, well, he did have a varied career and all sorts of things.
Yeah,
but why would he be involved with this movie? Well, that's because of his fourth wife, Tiana Alexander. Now we move into the cast. Tiana Alexander plays Checkers Goldberg.
No!
The main character of this movie. Oh, that's right, Chris. This was a vanity project for his wife.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead fucking serious, and it gets even worse. Oh, it gets way worse.
I believe it gets worse. I believe it.
Now, Tiana is actually a very interesting lady. She immigrated to America as a Vietnam refugee after the war. She went on to train with Bruce Lee as his first female student, and she got the nickname Tiana Karate Princess. Bruce Lee introduced her to her soon-to-be husband, Sterling Silliphant, and they married in 1974. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because there is something very wrong with either IMDb or with Sterling Silliphant. On IMDb, it says that she was born in 1961.
Okay.
If they were to be married in 1974, she'd be 13. I'd really like to think that Tiana is lying about her age. I really, really hope she is.
I do too. Maybe Woody Anders can help us with this.
Now, I'm not going to play it for you, but fans, do me a favor and go on YouTube and look up an interview with Sterling Silliphant and Tiana Alexander from 1973 on a talk show where they're like talking about being in love, and it's really, really fucking terrible. And there's a part where the host of it is like, "Oh, I see you brought something else back from Vietnam, huh? Who's this lady?"
What a catch! You get it in the net too.
If she was born in 1961, that means she was like 25 when they were filming this. She doesn't look 25.
No.
So I'd really, really like to think she's lying about her age, or Sterling Silliphant had a child bride brought over from Vietnam, and he's not a young man when he married her. I'll just say that.
No.
The only acting Tiana ever did was in things that Sterling Silliphant wrote. She started her career in 1975's The Killer Elite, directed by Sam Peckinpah, starring Robert Duvall and James Caan. 1978, she was in a TV miniseries written by Sterling called Pearl.
Yeah.
1981, Fly Away Home, also a Silliphant picture. 1987, Catch the Heat, her one big starring role. 1987, The Three Kings, and then called it quits for acting.
So she rolled with some heavy hitters.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She went, okay, so in this interview with her, they basically say like, oh, so you just came here, you married Silliphant, and now you're all of a sudden in this movie with, playing Robert Duvall's lady.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, it's a dream come true. But
I won this writing contest. I lost.
So she went on to direct a documentary in 1992 called From Hollywood to Hanoi. That was executive produced by Oliver Stone, and it won Best of Telluride at that film festival, and it also was nominated for Best Nonfiction at Sundance. It was the most, if I'd say, important thing she did. She actually quit acting to make that documentary. So she went immediately back over to Vietnam, went back to her roots, did a documentary about people's troubles over there and the problems post-Vietnam War and how things were not solved.
Yeah.
So she went on to have kind of a...
Humanitarian.
She has become a humanitarian, yes. I did forget to mention, before she went and did that documentary, she did a series of workout videos called Karate Size with Tiana.
She does karate workout videos?
It's called Karate Size with Tiana.
I want to do this.
They're on her YouTube channel. She has a YouTube channel.
Really?
She also does kind of like a travel show where she goes around to different places of the world and interviews people. Like I saw one about her interviewing a man about a salt mine. I got about 2 minutes through it. I was like, I've seen enough.
Yeah.
Now, here's the interesting thing about that documentary I mentioned. She was on the Today Show, and on her personal YouTube channel, as you can see, Chris, Tiana World, she has posted this Today Show with Tiana Alexander and Bitchy Katie Couric is the name of this video. And I'm going to play for you why she thinks that Katie Couric deserves the label as bitchy. So this takes place after Bryant Gumbel interviews Tiana Alexander, and it's a nice, serious interview. Here's what Katie Couric has to say about said interview.
Before we go, can I just ask you a question? What was Tiana wearing?
Not a lot. No, she was.
What was that, like a body stocking with mosquito netting over it?
It was kind of a black body suit with spaghetti straps.
Right, I noticed that. And then they had, what was the thing over it?
It was kind of a pajama-like outfit.
Ah.
It comes with a red sauce, I think. I'm not sure.
Are you finished?
Yes, I am, sir.
Say Demyanyo.
Yes.
We're back in just a moment. Station
Ooh.
So you have an interview where she's explaining her travel from Vietnam to this country and her serious documentary of going to see those people and show the plight that they have to deal with and all the poverty involved in Vietnam. And Katie Couric responds to that by saying, boy, she sure looked like an idiot with what she was dressed in, huh?
Yeah, well, Mr. Matthews and, Williams, what's your name? Williams.
So Brian Williams is sitting at the end of that couch, and you can't hear this. He looks so uncomfortable with what they're saying. Just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Shut up. What do you think of that?
Unspeakable, really.
Very uncomfortable.
It's just, no wonder you went to commercial immediately after that.
Jesus Christ.
There's some things you just don't have to say. I'm sorry. I mean, I can tell a story about being in line at Disneyland for tickets, but that's another time.
No. Let's not get into that.
Thank you.
Oh, boy. CC has no filter.
Hashtag CC has no filter.
The last credit I have for Miss Tiana Alexander, 2011, associate producer on a movie called A Dangerous Method, which is directed by David Cronenberg. Now we get into the other cast members. David Dukes, who plays Waldo Tarr. 94 acting credits. Lots of TV. Went into movies. Here's a few for you. 1986, Rawhead Rex, which was written by Clive Barker. 1987, Date with an Angel, which is like with Phoebe Cates, like dating some... I don't know, it looked terrible.
Yeah.
Very interesting description for it.
Huh.
1989, See You in the Morning with Jeff Bridges, Farrah Fawcett, and Drew Barrymore. 1998, he was in Gods and Monsters.
Oh, it's a good movie. Really good movie.
1999, Goosed. Now listen to this description, Chris. I like this. This is a movie starring Jennifer Tilly. I'm going to read you the description of it. Jennifer Tilly plays a woman who's told by her psychic that the man of her dreams is a doctor named Steve. Guess who the doctor is? Question mark.
Does it end with, is it a way out?
Apparently there are a bunch of doctors named Steve in the cast, I guess. And she's like going through them. One of them is David Dukes. The other one, I saw another one, Damon Wayans. I was really hoping it's him. Last credits for him I wrote down, 1997, 7 episodes of Dawson's Creek. He quit acting because he passed away in the year of 2000. He was only 55 years old, died of a heart attack.
Oh, shit.
Now, this is funny, though. This is the craziest thing I've ever read on the IMDb message boards, on David Duke's personal message board. Should have won an Emmy for The Rapist. And one is spelled O-N-E, not W-O-N. Should have won an Emmy for The Rapist, ... by Monkeys Fan 62.
My first question, what time was this written at? What AM hour was this
I
written
thought
at?
it would be a funny time, but it's not. November 24th, 2007. It's in military time, so 14 would be, what, 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes.
Here we go. I thought one of Mr. Duke's best roles was as the rapist on the All in the Family episode, Edith's 50th birthday. He should have won an Emmy Award for it. He was also good on an episode of Three's Company as Jack's old Navy buddy. Okay, so apparently David Dukes played a character on All in the Family. It's Edith's 50th birthday. And he plays a character who, like, says he's a detective looking for somebody and, like, comes into the house while she's alone and he rapes her.
Huh.
He rapes a 50... This is an episode of All in the Family. I'm reading it going, like, what the fuck? What the fuck kind of episode is this?
I mean, they ordered a strippergram, but Jesus.
Jesus Christ. Hey, you know how we should celebrate Edith's 50th? She gets raped. Yep, put it on the air.
Green light, green light, green light. What are you waiting for?
Apparently he got death threats for this role.
Yeah, no kidding.
People thought he really raped her or something. It's like, it's TV, hello.
Yeah.
He's doing a character. He didn't write it.
Oh my God.
He just lived it, you know?
Yeah, well, a lot of these people, they take that as real life for some reason. They're out there.
That's that fucker who raped Edith. Archie's gonna get him real good. You fucking kidding me? So this rabbit hole ends with Rod Steiger, who plays Hannibal. Now, you know who Rob Steiger is? Rod Steiger?
Yes, but for our listeners.
Probably only in this movie as a favor to Sterling Silliphant for getting him that Oscar.
Yeah.
But boy, does he look so damn bored in this movie.
Yeah, the level of emotion, a funeral would break out and be more of a party than this man.
We're not going to go through his whole career. Hugely decorated actor, 148 credits. I'm going to give you a few, and then we see where Catch the Heat fits into this. 1951, he started in a movie called Teresa. 1954, On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando. 1955, Oklahoma, the adaptation of the musical. 1956, The Harder They Fall with Humphrey Bogart. So many movies after that. But we'll go 1965, Dr. Zhivago. 1967, In the Heat of the Night, which he won the Oscar for. 1970, Waterloo, where he played Napoleon. 1979, he was in the Amityville Horror. And 1996, Mars Attacks. He plays the general.
Yeah, I knew it.
So there we go. That's all I got for the background of this movie.
The background is just as thin as the story itself.
We start in some forest. Guy is waiting in a truck, and then Checkers rolls up on her motorcycle, and she pops that helmet off, and boy, if that Linda Blair hair doesn't just fly on out of it. How she keeps this perm in that helmet, and how it stays permy after she takes it off,
yeah,
only Tiana knows.
The backlighting alone is just majestic.
Yeah, you're right. It's got like a 5K on her head, you know?
6 Vegas spotlights lined up right behind her, right to the dome.
So they do this drug deal. Basically, they exchange the money and the drugs. She's got the money, he's got the drugs. Okay, so after the deal, and by the way, the guy who is the drug dealer in this part of the movie, or buying the drugs, he's buying it. No, wait, she's buying the drugs, right? Yeah, she has the money. He's the drug dealer.
Yeah.
The guy who's the drug dealer, do you notice him anywhere?
No.
Well, I'd say 2 roles you might notice this guy.
Okay.
1, he's the bad guy in Cobra. And 2, he's also in Joe Dirt as Buffalo Bill.
Joe Dirt I haven't seen in a long time, but Cobra, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's been overshadowed by Stallone in that film, easily. So
yeah, but he's like the guy, that creepy guy that just walks
shoots
around
up
and goes,
oh. He's the one that shoots up the market at the beginning? Or that guy dies.
No, he's the one who tries to kidnap
right.
Brigitte Nielsen in
Yeah.
that parking garage.
Okay.
He's the leader of that Axe gang.
Yeah.
So after this drug deal goes down, he says, and here's where we get right into the really borderline dialogue that goes throughout this movie.
You know, I'm sad to say I never made it with a China chick.
Neither have I.
He then goes on to offer her $200 for 10 minutes and says, well, even plumbers don't make that. So she says no, but he pulls a gun and he says, quote, ass on the grass, baby. I'm going to mow your lawn.
Ass on the grass, baby. Gonna mow your lawn.
It's like I wrote this movie. Jesus.
Boy, this really starts out strong with the one-liners because they're going to keep coming in this scene.
Yep.
We got a fucking Oscar winner over here.
I mean, you're going to be ducking. They're just zinging by.
So they go into his truck, and she pretends to go downtown. Then she, like, rolls out of the car, and all these cops show up, and all these lights. And we find out she's an FBI agent. Then, like, so they cuff him up, and they're, like, placing him against the car, and, like, Waldo's, like, yelling at him. And then she comes up and starts kicking him in the face. And you notice how, like, it's the fakest looking dummy leg that smacks him.
It's like that gag in the Naked Gun movie. Where he's like at a dinner table and she tries to slap him and he holds her arm and then like a third arm comes out of nowhere and slaps him in the face.
Yeah, it looks like this teeny thin little leg going pa-pow. Like Kermit the Frog just punched him.
And she's like standing completely vertical. It's like, no, there's no way any human anatomy would move like that.
So then Waldo, he tells her, you got to go home, Tiana, or Checkers Goldberg. Best name I've ever heard in a movie, by the way. You got to go home, Checkers, because you need to cool off. You know, you caught that heat. You need to go home and release it.
Cool off from the heat.
He does. Did you notice, like, at one point he's like, I can't believe you tried to rape her. You know, her sister got raped and killed or something like that. And
yeah.
It's like, oh. Well, why would you tell that to a murderer? Like, why would you tell that to this fucking criminal guy?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need to know any background about her.
Just so you can tell the boys in prison.
So he tries to get information out of this guy with his gun, and he starts playing Russian roulette. So right away we know Waldo's a great cop. He puts one in the chamber and says something about how it's a hollow point, and so if I blow this off in your leg, it's just gonna break your bone and all this.
Yeah.
He pulls the trigger when he doesn't get the information, which I'm like, I did see him put that bullet in there. Then he points it at his dick, and he says, now you give me names, or I give you a vagina.
That was my friend you tried to rape, scumbag. Now you give me names, or I give you a vagina.
Oscar winning, Chris. Yeah. Oscar winning.
I'm so proud of those lines.
This movie starts with so much promise. Whether it ends with promise, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We go to San Francisco. Now, if you heard in the trailer where they said, rolling around the streets of San Francisco, well, for about 2 scenes, we'll be in San Francisco.
It's like second unit shots of San Francisco. And like, that's it.
We get this funky music and in a real, like, bizarre, unnecessary scene, just to establish, I guess, we're in San Francisco. We see, like, Waldo being a passenger in a car, and he's, like, eating a big bag of popcorn while he's in the car. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He's got like a street vendor thing of kettle corn, and he's just like munching it as a passenger.
Yeah.
He gets out of the car and goes up to this martial arts studio. Gone is the popcorn, so I guess it was the car popcorn. Maybe it's like like in an Uber where they have candy.
Yeah.
This guy just is like, oh, you want some popcorn? So we go to this martial arts studio, and Waldo walks up to see Checkers in her kendo class. She's in her full kendo gear, doing a sword fight with the bamboo swords and everything.
And the one-liner he has here. Oh, boy.
Are you talking about...
You know, I've undressed a lot of women, but this is new. This is new. You know, you look good when you sweat. You even smell good.
Those are like... Oh, boy. I put all those times before sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yeah.
He's coming on hard.
Those are like... you wouldn't even use those in public nowadays. That's like pure internet dating come-ons.
Pretty much, yeah. Waldo's just come into this class with a raging hard-on from that car popcorn, and he's just like, oh, fuck. That kendo gear really gets me going. Look at this bulge. That would have been great if he's like, come on, I'm so hot. I mean, what do you want me to do with it? Don't nail me to the cross, Tiana.
Where's she did one of those chops, like they put it over 2 bricks and just kind of...
She should have used the bamboo sword and like smacked it.
It goes going right back.
So she like toys with him for a while, and I just wrote, he just cannot keep it down when she's around. Yeah, I think he's got to like belt it down, to be honest. I think.
No, he does that thing where you just, if it's already there, you just kind of put it up against your stomach.
He's got it clipped, you know?
Tape it to your stomach. Never worry about it again.
So we go to the airport. Checkers drives Waldo to the airport. He's going to see some talent agent in Argentina named Hannibal. We know this because that suspect he almost was going to give a vagina to told him about it. Then we go to the international sign that something is happening.
So early on, too. Planes are fucking landing.
We go to Argentina, and Waldo finds out more information about Hannibal at the local police office. You're going to meet some police officer. I barely write about this guy, the Argentinian cop.
Yeah.
That they're supposed to, him and Waldo have this like fake rapport.
It doesn't need to be there. It's just extra characters. Do you think they were trying to get some kind of comedic relief out of this guy?
Oh, yeah, because they have this ongoing joke that we're not even going to talk about how they like can't pronounce the word lobster.
Yeah.
What a fucking cut up. Anyways, the police says it seems suspicious they would be looking at Hannibal. He's an upstanding citizen. We go to the docks. So I love this scene. We just cut immediately from him being in an office to Checkers actually it's just a man with a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah.
And this other guy. And then Checkers is there and she's like, all right, I'm going to buy this stuff from you.
We don't know how she got there. We don't know how this was arranged.
We don't even know where we are. If we're back in San Francisco, what? And then she just immediately pulls out like an Uzi or whatever this gun is from like I don't know where. Because she's okay. Checkers is I would say what conservatively 5 feet tall.
That's a generous.
I would
description.
say 70 pounds on a bad day.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide this. Like, she's got, like, a jean jacket on and, like, tight jeans. Where the hell is she hiding this gun? Because all of a sudden she's like, all right, you're under arrest, asshole. That pulls this, like, this gun is half the size as she is.
Yeah.
Out of her somewhere.
Out of her eyes, out of her nose, out of her what have you.
And then, like, all these cops also pop out and they start, this big fight happens and the cops start shooting all these guys and this truck drives off. And luckily, Checkers has her motorcycle right next to her. She goes chasing after this truck in a pretty good chase scene, I'd say.
Yeah.
But really funny because, did you notice this? In the beginning of that chase scene, the truck's going out, and at one part, it kind of just grazes a car.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean just grazes it. And then the car immediately catches on fire, and it's like gonna explode. It was like, oh, I think it was supposed to hit that car.
The car was made out of flint, and the other car was coated in some flammable substance naturally.
I mean, this car hits it, like the truck hits that car, like if you were kind of just brushing past somebody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's how lightly it hits this car. Like, you don't even see the other car move. The truck just kind of grazes near it and then just flames just everywhere at night.
Well, if they had the pyro guy on set, they needed an explosion. Where are you going to... I mean, where else? How else are you going to get it? There wasn't in the budget to flip it, I'm sure.
I'm going to make this look good.
Yeah.
So Checkers gets on her motorcycle, chases after him. So we get this chase scene. They're just going around this. She's like jumps over like a steep street in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I like this part. So the truck is in front of this car, and then Checkers uses the car as a ramp to jump on the truck.
Yeah.
And definitely almost a fuck up with that stunt driver because this guy almost overshoots this landing and like lands on the front part of the truck and is almost going to flip over onto the cab. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that was a close call. There's no way that was supposed to happen.
It also is definitely not Checkers. It's so funny because she puts on this completely black helmet.
Yeah.
And you can totally tell this is a stunt person. But good job of hiding it by putting her in that black helmet because you could never tell. Like, you know, they get away with it. So Checkers climbs over the truck cab and she's like holding on and they're like swerving around trying to throw her off. And then eventually they break and she flies into the ocean. Because apparently they're like, oh, for a getaway, let's just drive back to the docks.
Yeah.
You know, only one way in, only one way out. Great chase. Did you think they just went back to where they were? Because they were already at the docks.
Oh, they had to have.
Oh, shit, we forgot the drugs. Go back. So they jump her in the ocean, and then all these cops pull up and bust the truck. Go to Argentina, and like Waldo says something about how he has to call San Francisco.
They really just gotta nail the San Francisco thing in our heads
For one more scene.
Yeah, like we're so far away.
One more scene.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there's that whole part. I'm not even going to bring this stuff up, and you're getting it out of me now. Is that Argentina cop walks up, and he's like, what are you, on the phone with San Francisco from my office?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And he's like,
What are you waking the neighbors?
He goes, my country's in debt.
Yeah.
And Waldo says something like, well, they're in debt to my country, so we'll just call it even.
And this is supposed to be like the one piece of social commentary in the entire film. It's supposed to like make people go, huh?
And I'm just like, shut up.
Yeah.
So we go back to the docks, and I do like this. So the truck's all arrested now, and everybody's cleaning up, and Tiana gets out of the water, and this cop car just pulls up and just goes, and like brakes real hard, and like does like this full skid, right?
Yeah.
And then some guy just goes, Checkers, I've been looking all over for you. Phone call.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Hold on, Mr. Waldo, I'll go get her. And he's like,
Mr. Waldo.
The other thing is, are they cops or FBI agents? Because in this scene, there's all these cops she's working with, and they all know her name and everything. They're getting the phone for her. Mrs. Checkers, Mrs. Goldberg, you got a call. You think the chief is like, Mrs. Goldberg's down by the docks. Go get her. Go get her. This guy's just driving like 100 miles an hour through San Francisco.
Like flying off hills.
So Tiana could get some useless phone call that she could have just gotten later.
Yeah, it's not like it's like the president line 1 or anything. It was fucking stupid.
Well, the only reason that she takes this phone call by the docks is so we can have some bizarre scene where she answers this phone call from Waldo with a wet t-shirt.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's so uncomfortable.
Again, like the whole vanity thing in this film.
This is his wife.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, look at that. Look at that.
I'm hitting that. Yeah. No real action. Slate, sound, and hit it. I mean, action.
You're going to be a star, honey. You're going to be a star. And I wrote, okay, so the guy says he's been looking for Checkers for over an hour, and Waldo's on the phone, and I go, well, how long was Waldo waiting on hold? Was he really sitting in that guy's office for over an hour being like, oh, no, it's all right. Don't call me back. Don't call me back. I'll wait.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go drive down and find her. She's in the middle of a police chase. I'll wait. It's fine. It's fine. I'll just sit here. It's fine.
Yeah. Maybe that could have been. Do you think they were trying to plant that as a joke? Like he's like running down their phone bill, just sitting there on hold?
Who knows?
That would have been over their heads anyways.
So we got obvious wet t-shirt. The other cop, he's like, he can't help but stare. He's like, oh my God. Just staring at her while she's on the phone. Waldo tells her that she needs to come down to Argentina. Okay, so this part, he's like, all right, hey, Checkers, I think I found this Hannibal guy. So you need to come down here and you need to be undercover. And your undercover is going to be as a dancer and your name's going to be Cinderella Pooh.
Yeah.
And I wrote, this is literally the worst fucking cover of all time. You know what one thing about going undercover is? Picking a name that's not going to cause suspicion. Cinderella Pooh. You know, her real name is worse than the cover name. Checkers Goldberg.
I had a dog named Checkers, okay?
But Cinderella Pooh?
Can we take a minute to discuss how we think she got the name Checkers?
Well, I assume it's her God-given name. Or her birth name.
It can't be like, and we hereby baptized Checkers in the name of the Lord. And
I think so. I think she was baptized as Checkers, confirmed as Checkers. It's on her birth certificate. Checkers Goldberg. We're going to find out how Goldberg fits into that a little bit later in this movie.
Yeah.
It is what you think. So when I wrote this is literally the worst fucking cover of all time, Checker does agree with me because she's like, Cinderella Pooh, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, that's the worst name I've ever heard. And she's like, I'll go down there, but you got to change the name. And he's like, oh, too late. It's already on your passport.
Gotcha.
And then he says something about how her cover requires her to be flat-chested. And she like kind of looks down. She's like, well, how am I going to do that?
Gratuitous wet t-shirt see-through scene, and like the cop is like, whoa, like,
how am I gonna cover these babies up? Yeah. Like that's pretty much what's going on.
Do you think like when she said that line, the director was like, like to the crew?
Yeah, her husband's like, beautiful.
Yeah,
I wrote that for you, honey.
Yeah.
They look great. The new ones look great. So we go down to Argentina. Checker's riding in a cab through the town. We go to her hotel room, and she's taking a shower because we got to just get a little more, you tease the audience with the wet t-shirt. Now you want to see the goods, I guess. Jesus Christ.
This is like, one of those another eye rolling moment. I'm like, oh come on.
Also, by the way, the least titillating shower scene I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
I've seen male shower scenes that are more titillating. She's just like standing there with the thing, and she's like, gotta get this.
Well, the
stuff
water
out of my hair.
for that actress in reality is freezing.
It looks like it. I guess.
Because the steam was going to fog up the lens of the camera.
Oh, yeah.
So that water, she's probably uncomfortable.
She just looks very uncomfortable.
Yeah, she is. In reality, she is uncomfortable. The water is cold.
So she's sitting there going like,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden the water turns off and she's still got a bunch of soap in her hair, which, as you know by listening to other past episodes, is a huge pet peeve of mine that I cannot fucking stand. But she at least acknowledges it, and she's like, pissed off about it. Like, well, how am I going to wash my hair? I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
Nobody ever says that in a goddamn movie.
Nope. Not even in the last film.
Nope. Or Tomboy. You missed that one. But, oh, boy. Some girl walks out of the shower, full head lathered up, and I could not. Oh, God,
it wasn't even conditioner, huh?
No, just full lather.
Huh.
So then Waldo shows up in her hotel room. He just lets himself in. And she's all upset she can't get the water turned on, and says something about, like, how come the water turned off? He's like, oh, if it's Tuesday, they turned it off because this is such a shithole country. They don't have any fucking water. God, Argentina's this shithole, isn't it? Thanks for letting us film here. But anyways, he tells her about some plan he has to get her in front of the Hannibal guy. Also, one of the worst things I've ever heard. He says, okay, well, she says something about how she doesn't know how to dance, and he's like, oh, it doesn't matter, because in this shithole of a country, nobody knows how to dance. The dancing's terrible down here. You're just gonna go to the audition, do a little shake, 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 and they'll let you in. That's his plan. The FBI's plan to get in front of this guy.
Yeah.
The FBI funded plan is, yeah, just get that Asian girl to dress up as a Chinese. Get that Vietnamese woman to dress up as a Chinese woman and do a little shake, shake, shake. And this guy, he's just gonna just immediately be like, oh, she's a star. Also, her name's gonna be Cinderella Pooh. We already made up the passport at the agency. We thought it was a great name.
I can't get over that.
Oh, I can't even wait until she turns into Cinderella Pooh, because
yeah.
Oh boy, offensive doesn't like. Oh boy,
I have things to say about this.
So we go to this dance club. I can't believe this was written by an Oscar winner. Like this, the next scene is
sitting at that desk. Cinderella Pooh.
How to, honey, come in here. How do Chinese talk? I don't know. I've never been to China. I'm from Vietnam, so. Well, I understand it's not all the same, but how do they act over there?
What we need to do is order some takeout, observe him.
Yeah. When the delivery guy gets here, let's just copy down how he talks, and we're going to put that directly into the script, and that's how you're going to talk. Cut to dance scene. Checker shows up. She's swinging her purse around, and she's wearing her horrible, stereotypical Chinese garb. She comes up and just introduces herself to the booking agent. So, there's women already dancing on the stage, and she just interrupts us in the middle of it and goes, oh, hello. Name is Cinderella Pooh. I dance for you? Now, if you think I'm being fucking racist with that, no. That's how the movie is. That's how she talks in this movie.
Mr. Calzado?
Yeah?
I am Cinderella Pooh. I sing, I dance.
Yeah, okay. Sounds interesting. Reggie, let's see what this little lady can do.
But it's not even a convincing stereotypical accent. It's so.
It's like what I just did.
Yeah, it's so half-assed. She fluctuates in between an English, broken to full on oh hello, I'm Cinderella Pooh. Certain vowels are accented.
Hello, Cinderella Pooh.
Yeah. What was that character on Mad TV? Miss Swan?
Kwan? This is bad as this.
Miss Swan was probably more accurate than this is.
In real life, the guy would have just looked at her and been like, what the fuck? Very funny. Who are you?
He looks like one of those Vegas shows. like a Vegas showgirl, the theme is some Asian dance troupe, and they're gonna strip it all down, and there's tassels underneath, and somewhere a fortune cookie's involved, but we don't know. But
oh my god. So he buys it, of course. The FBI are geniuses, because he goes oh my god, all right, get these get these fucking terrible dancers off the stage. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's her turn. Go up there and show us what you got, honey.
Yeah.
And just tells her to go try out.
She's like, oh, thank you. Oh. Like, kind of, like, if she's, I swear to God, did she even do like that little like foot move, like, oh, out on the stage? Because I swear. It's,
yeah, she's just like, whoop, 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 like with
Yeah.
her little feet walk, you know?
Yeah.
Like she's got her bound feet.
Oh my God.
Just like, does Tiana Alexander just like hate the Chinese or something? Like, Jesus.
I don't know. It's enough to start a war. I'm telling you this.
Well, you know, maybe So they give her a tryout. When then we go to a drug deal. Hannibal Rod Steiger first shows up. He gets out of this limo with these like fishermen or somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So apparently, like, Rod Steiger and his crew, they're all dressed in suits, and these, like, I don't know, Japanese fishermen just fresh off killing some whales come off a boat.
Yeah.
They're, like, all dressed up like they've just been in the water for months or something. They do a drug deal, and it looks like Rod Steiger couldn't care fucking less about this. He's just, like, the way he walks through the scene is just like, all right, yeah, give him the money. You got the drugs? How's it look? Does it look okay? Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Even
go,
like
go.
the other guy who's like giving the money, like taking the money, is like, okay, good. And like it's the transaction. It's like it looks like it was set up. More time was spent setting up the scene than actually filming it.
I imagine the director calling cut and then just being like, "Oh, Rod," and he goes, "Don't you ever call me Rod. It's Mr. Steiger to you." Oh yeah, Mr. Steiger. I was wondering maybe a little more energy in this next one. And I imagine him just staring at him, and that's it. Yeah. No lines or anything until the director just kind of like slinks away backwards and goes behind the camera and goes, all right, wrap. I think we're wrapped, everybody. That was great.
Let me go check the Mac and we'll let you know what's going on.
Rod, should we take another? And then he just gets in the car. Like he's already walking to his trailer. All right. No, good job, everybody.
He's like
good
halfway
job.
down to his boxers at this point, already done.
So they make this handoff, and then the fishermen like go back to their boat, and then this like firing line of goons shoots them all down.
Yeah.
Rod Steiger, so bored, gets in that car. They drive away, and then even just to rub salt in that wound, even their boat explodes.
Yeah, I don't get how or why. Did they show them like throwing explosives in it? Did I miss that? Okay. Was there even a guy with like a trigger that kind of squeezed the box?
There's like a guy in a dinghy out there. A guy in a dinghy with a thing of dynamite that just chucks it in. So we go to the club. Apparently, Cinderella was so good, she is now the headliner at this club for what I'm guessing is the same night?
I think so.
Okay, because at the end of like her tryout, so she does that tryout, and they have this like terrible stereotypical gay dance guy, you know, with this big bleached mohawk and everything. And the club owner guy's like, "How do you think she'll do?" And he's like, "She'll be fine, you know. Just give her 5 days." Cut to that night. She's on stage. She's doing the fucking tango, headlining this bitch.
Yeah. Oh, check us. I mean,
It was so funny if she fucked it up.
She's like so happy. Oh, Cinderella Pooh always want to tango. I come from I come all the way from China to learn to tango.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, dream come true, honey.
I forgot to say it. Before we cut, okay, here we go. This is how it goes. Cinderella. So we cut back. She does her routine for the tryout. Okay.
Yeah.
Then so then that's when the guy says like, "I need 5 days," and you're right. She says, and here's the exact quote.
I think she can headline that new tango number I've been working on.
Cinderella come all the way from Hong Kong just to learn tango. Such good fortune.
Then she bows her head and a gong plays.
A fucking gong.
I swear she like winks at the camera and goes, gong. Then we go, cut to headlining.
No montage of her training.
No. And like basically Waldo and Hannibal are both at their own like individual tables watching her dance. For some reason we watched the whole fucking dance.
Yeah. Run time.
And there's even a part where she like fake punches a guy. She's like, like doing her little karate move, you know? And I was like, I've never seen a tango like that, but
no.
She's got to throw in a little of that checkers karate, you know? Gong. So we go to outside the club, and like Waldo's got to wait in the Argentinian's cop car so until she exits the club or something. We go back into the dressing room, and then Hannibal walks into the dressing room. Rod Steiger walks into this dressing room to talk to Cinderella.
Yeah.
And I wrote, Rod Steiger tries to deliver these lines and exit the scene as soon as possible. Because the way he looks at her is like, I can't even believe I'm fucking talking to this lady.
Yeah.
Who's never acted in anything real, and whose husband got me an Academy Award, so I have to be in a scene with her. That's how he approaches this, because he just walks up to her and mumbles the line like, oh, yes, I saw you dance. You were very good. Okay, here's my card. I gotta go now. And tries to walk out as fast as possible.
Yep.
And then, of course, we can't let him walk away, can we, Chris?
No.
He's walking out. So he walks out like he's trying to get out of here. And then he stops to say goodbye to another lady, Maria. And he says, bon voyage and good luck. She's going to be leaving town. But then she stops him and she says, like, oh, Mr. Hannibal, I can't leave. My doctor said I need to go to the hospital tomorrow. And I wrote, well, why is she even there?
Yeah.
Maybe go now. If you're in that much pain, go to the hospital. Oh, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, my appendix hurts tonight, but maybe I'll just sleep it off, you know.
It might pop itself out for me.
So he gets a little upset and leaves. And then one of Hannibal's bodyguards, the driver, I think his name is Ike, but I just wrote him down as driver. He opens the door and he spots Cinderella or Checkers, and he like looks at her like, I know her.
Yeah.
And she looks back at him like, oh shit, and then like turns around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, way to fucking blow your cover.
Yeah, giveaway.
Here's another one. When you go undercover and somebody recognizes you, don't recognize them back.
Yeah. You think her training would be that good? As yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, Cinderella Pooh. Maybe she just gets around. She knows people.
Because like he looks at her and she goes, oh, and like turns it around, you know.
I don't think it's even that. I think it's like, oh shit. Like, kind of spins her head around.
She loses the accent. Shit.
Yeah. She sounds like a New York cab driver.
So I like this part though. We go outside the dressing room and Hannibal and the bodyguard, his driver, are walking, right?
Yeah.
And they're walking out. He says, I've seen that chick somewhere. And then for some reason, Rod Steiger decides he's going to like scream.
Yeah.
And he goes, she's not a chick! And screams it at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
And says,
I haven't seen that chick somewhere.
She's not a chick! She is a Chinese girl whose name is Cinderella, and I doubt if you've ever seen her anywhere in the world in your life.
This guy gives her he gives her better cover than she gives herself cover.
yeah, like, okay,
point.
not only is she have the literally the worst undercover name possibly in history.
Yeah.
The worst fake fucking accent anybody's ever heard. I mean, look, we're in Argentina. Maybe they don't see many Chinese for some reason in the 80s. Anybody there would be like, oh, that's not real.
No. I think, again, they think it's like some Vegas stage show where she's going to like break a Chinese, like a fortune cookie between her thighs at the end of the show, and that's it.
Also, everybody in Argentina speaks English, apparently. So and so his driver's like, no, I've seen that lady before. She's a cop. I saw her in New York. I know her very well. Trust me, she arrested me. I know her.
Yeah.
And Rod Steiger's like not buying it. He's like, no, just shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. For some reason, I'm gonna believe every word about this lady. Look, I am a drug dealing scumbag, but I'm gonna believe her.
Yeah.
You know, just like the last movie, how Maude always believes anybody, no matter what the story. So Hannibal tells, okay, now I messed this up. He has this other bodyguard that's this big Asian guy, and I thought like, oh, is that Oddjob from Goldfinger?
I thought so too.
In my racist white attitude, I thought this the whole movie and wrote down his name is Oddjob. That's not Oddjob. It's a guy in his first. He goes by Professor something.
Oh.
But he basically took over Odd Job's roles as playing the big Asian goon guy. If you need a big muscly Asian guy with a cool beard, he was your man. But I'm just gonna call him Odd Job for the rest of the movie because that's what I have in my notes. So Hannibal tells Odd Job that he has to make sure Maria doesn't make it to her doctor. Go to the dressing room. Checkers keeps her terrible broken English up as Cinderella. And like goes over to Maria and starts asking her questions and then offers to take her home. So we go outside the club and Waldo and that Argentinian cop are watching Hannibal get in his car. He drives away. And then Waldo sees Checkers come out as Cinderella now with all these women. And he's like, oh, she's with all those girls, but I really need to talk to her right this second for some reason. I can't wait for her to get back to the hotel later and discuss this with her. And I'm going to do it right now because we're really good at keeping our cover here in the FBI. And the Argentinian cop's like, no. What are you doing? You're going to blow your cover. And he's like, you never seen my act before.
I was dying because this one's just taking off. Do you think, I feel like these guys came from the same precinct as the guys who were on the stakeout in Police Women that get out of their car.
Yeah, I mean, how these two made it out of Quantico, who knows? Like, how they even made it out of that academy.
Yeah.
I have no idea. These are FBI agents, Chris, not cops. FBI agents.
Well, it's really hard to fucking establish that in this movie because I can't
we
tell.
Have to offer.
I'm like, half the time I thought she was a detective. Is she a cop? Is she FBI? Is she federal?
Is she Cinderella? Gong. So, okay, what does he do, Chris, to go talk to her? How is he going to keep his cover?
He's going to act like he's had one too many, and he saw the show, and he was a big fan of the show. She's like, hey, you, Cinderella, oh, you're great, and starts kind of sliming these girls.
Yeah, he walks up to Maria, and he goes, yeah, like Joe. And he, like, takes money out of his wallet, and he's like, come on, little time.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa. So his act is he's going to play a drunk who tries to proposition one of the dancers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's convincing enough.
And instead of sticking the bouncers on him, he's right there.
Yeah.
Which in any normal circumstance, the bouncer would be like, no. Don't you talk to the talent. Get the fuck out of here, guy. Like Cinderella pulls him to the side and then basically he says something about like, oh, I saw Hannibal leave or something. And then she says like, oh, you better make a pass. All the girls are watching. So he makes that pass and she kicks his ass.
Yeah.
And I wrote, this scene was pretty much useless. They could have all discussed this later back at the hotel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, why did he even bother getting out?
So they could have that act, I guess.
Get a few yucks.
So he could proposition a woman.
Yeah.
So we go to Maria's house. Her and Cinderella come home. What's Cinderella got to do? Keep up this act. She's like, oh, I'm making you some tea. These are all lines in the movie.
We're not, folks. We're not exaggerating. We are just quoting them as they are heard.
So Odd Job's standing outside holding this bouquet of flowers. And then we go back inside and Cinderella asks Maria, she's like, oh, how about Mr. Hannibal? You like him? And she's like, oh, Cinderella, you're very nice. Oh, yes, Mr. Hannibal's very nice. He spent a lot of money on me. He's my ticket to the U.S., I'm going to be a star over there. And then Cinderella, to keep up her act and make sure she keeps that cover, she goes, oh, almost at midnight. Cinderella need to get in taxi before turning into pumpkin.
The research Checkers did.
God.
This whole thing seems like... This movie, it's severely miscategorized.
Is it supposed to be a joke? I don't know. I never know if this is supposed to be funny or if we're just supposed to sit here and take this all serious.
It's this whole thing. It's like maybe this part is meant for Rob Schneider to play.
Rob Schneider is a 5-foot-tall Asian woman who pretends to be a Chinese lady. That is Cinderella Pooh.
See, now that I would buy. That would make more sense than this shit.
This is so bad.
Even if it was David Spade, it would still make sense.
David Spade. Oh, by the way, we haven't even mentioned that Tiana the whole time. So Checkers Goldberg.
Yeah.
Even though she has just black hair, she wears a fucking bowl cut wig.
Why not just do your fucking hair like your fucking...
So, as Cinderella, she wears this bowl cut wig around. They might as well have given her the buck teeth.
I was gonna say that's probably a cutting room floor scene of her putting chiclets in her mouth and moving them around, getting them right. So right.
You know what's really still funny in 1987 is Mickey Rooney's Chinese guy.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That's the research she did for this role.
This woman's ass.
All the director did was give her a copy of Breakfast at Tiffany's and goes, just do this shit.
Yo, slam. It worked then, it'll work now.
I mean, what was your reaction when you first heard her talk, Chris?
I was like, are you shitting me?
The first time I watched this movie and I heard that, I was like, no. I mean, it would be one thing if it was a white person doing this. Yeah. This is an Asian lady. Like, so what is it supposed to make it okay? This is so bad. Basically, Cinderella leaves for her pumpkin carriage, and then she leaves Maria alone, and Maria's like got a bunch of pain in her breasts. But then Oddjob comes upstairs and he just kills her.
Yeah.
But he gives her flowers first, which is a nice gesture. You know why he would do that though makes no fucking sense.
Because I thought he was hiding like Terminator 2 style, like a gun in the flowers, like he's gonna.
Nope. No. No, he just like he comes at her like Frankenstein.
Yeah, he does. Oh, I use the same words. Yeah.
There's this part. She's like, what are you doing? No. And he just goes with his arms out, and he just kind of leans over her, and they're like waiting to hear cut. Now. Yeah, he doesn't even have lines of dialogue. He just does that. So we go to Hannibal's office, and Cinderella shows up, and she says to the receptionist, I see Mr. Hannibal now. And Rod Steiger comes in, barely can contain his excitement. Yeah. Comes up and he's like, oh, yes, Cinderella, it's good that you're here. Come into my office. She comes in and he's like, have a seat. And almost like in a part of improv, she's like walking around. She's like, who are people on wall? And he's like, just sit down. Let's get this scene over with, all right? We're not going to ham it up. Yeah, we're not chewing the fucking scenery here. Don't ask any questions about the pictures on the fucking wall. Yeah. I got 5 minutes, and I'm done. Yeah. You don't finish this scene right now, I'm out.
Because she was hoping. You know she was hoping for some kind of back and forth.
Yeah, because it so seems like improv. She's walking around the room. She's like, who, man? And he's just like,
for fuck's sake.
No.
Get your fucking ass back in that chair.
Sit in that fucking chair. You see Rod Steiger like look over to the director, like just like get her over here right like, fucking now.
Side eyeing the crew, like vein bulging in his neck.
He's like, he points to his watch. He's like, we're almost done for the fucking day. Yeah. So she walks over and finally sits down. You know, her improv 101 class is done.
When she took
all of a sudden she's like, ring ring, phone call for you.
God. Even the improv class she took in the trailer before she went to shoot.
Before they call. Do you think that Tiana Alexander walked around as a method in character the whole movie? Do you think before this scene she was just like, Rod, we do an improv? Like she's never breaking character as Cinderella Pooh the whole shoot. And he's just like, can somebody get this lady away from me?
This is not There Will Be Blood, all right? That's
This is like if you had Daniel Day-Lewis be in a fucking Medea movie. Yeah. Like, this is like the fucking lengths that Rod Steiger has gone to degrade himself to be in this role.
He's not even phoning it in. The phone is clearly still on the fucking ringer. He's not even gonna lift the phone.
Ring ring. It's just nope, not gonna do it. No. I'm not doing it. If it's not on the page, I'm not saying it. I get paid per word. No. Do you think in that one scene where he just screamed, she's not a chick? Do you think that The director at one point said, like, Mr. Steiger, do you think maybe a little more energy? Oh, you want some more energy? Yeah.
Yes.
Roll the fucking camera. I'll give you some fucking energy.
I think that was
all right?
that.
All right, you want that? Is that what you want? Is that what you want? Oh, I saw Breakin'. Wonderful movie, huh? Did you ask for them more energy than that, you fucking moron? Call action.
This is exactly what I thought it was. Because this is not like Tim Carey trying to make his Carey quirky and eccentric.
Oh,
this is
no.
just some guy that's like, I'm so fucking done.
I have never seen a man want his paycheck so bad. Like he is just counting the seconds until the shoot is done.
Yeah.
This might as well have just been a prison sentence to him, like this movie.
His driver, he told him never to turn the car off.
This was some agreement after a drunken party after the Oscars in the heat of the night, and he puts his hand on Sterling Silva and he goes, if it wasn't for you, Sterling, I never would have won the Oscar. I'll do anything for you. I'll be in anything you want. He goes, I'll hold you to it, Rod. And he goes, go ahead. With you behind it, it'll be brilliant.
Yeah. Fast forward
to 13 years later. Hey, Rod, I'm calling in that bet. Yeah. I'm calling in that favor. So we go to, from here, okay, well, anyways, this scene ends with Rod Steiger just being like, look, I'm going to represent you. That's that. You can leave now. Go tell my driver to take you anywhere. And she's like, oh, so happy. So we go to the woods. Waldo and the Argentinian cop are with the coroner as they pack a body into their truck. It's Maria. We don't see her, but he looks under it, and he says, oh, it's Maria from the club. And one of the coroners says they mutilated her breasts.
I didn't know what because I still hadn't caught on to what the plot device was with this. I'm like, what the fuck is
the crime in this movie is so insane.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get to it. So we go to a car. Oh, this might be the best scene, one of the best scenes in the whole movie. So this driver of his, who definitely knows this is not. He sees right through this terrible undercover act.
The one logical guy.
He's driving. He keeps looking in the rearview mirror like, huh. And he goes, and I have to point out at this point that this man is black. It's going to come into play in this scene. Mm-hmm. So he keeps looking back at her in the back seat and he goes, you miss New York, huh? And she goes, oh, a New York? I never been. Want to go one day.
And he's like, uh-huh.
Yeah, that's his real reaction. Uh-huh. Then she deflects and she goes,
I bet you miss New York, don't you?
New York? Oh, yeah, someday I go. You from there?
Yeah. And I miss it.
You like some watermelon seed?
I could take that as a racist remark, you know.
Well, what is racist?
Ain't nobody ever called you a chink?
Everybody call me Cinderella.
Yeah, and they call me Snow White.
Try, maybe you like. You just put between the teeth and you bite into the seed like this and you
Look,
crack
will you just forget about them goddamn watermelon seeds, okay?
You don't want to be Cinderella's friend? Okay, you loser. Not me.
And then she just like keeps going on about how you can eat watermelon seeds, which I didn't know you could even eat watermelon seeds.
Neither did I.
Didn't know that was a snack.
Yeah.
And she's doing her little improv 101 in the back. She's like, see, you just put between your teeth and go like this. And he goes, you just shut the fuck up, lady?
Yeah. It's like, the jig is up. Just stop.
He literally tells her to shut up.
Yeah.
He's like, just shut up. Shut up. No more improv.
You think that was improv? She brought that bag of watermelon seeds to the set?
Yes, I think the whole... Well, not the whole scene, but I think her with that part where she's like, no, you just eat it like this, and she's doing this, and he just goes, yeah, shut up. We're at the hotel. You can get off. So she gets out. She goes up to her room, and then he parks his car because he knows something's up.
Yeah.
So we go in the hotel. Checkers... She's now become Checkers. She's taken off her wonderful disguise as Cinderella Pooh, and she's doing a workout.
Yeah, it's a weird workout. I was just wondering if she's like holding herself with her wrists and doing this weird yoga split.
Yeah, she's doing like yoga.
Yeah.
And then Waldo comes in and he tells her about Maria and how she was raped and mutilated. And I said, they didn't say anything about raped.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
Yeah.
add on there.
And he's basically after that, she's like terrified and just mortified.
That's what I wrote. I was like she's her best friend or something.
And then he's like, well, good night.
So she's on the verge of tears. She's like, not my best friend Maria.
Yeah. The one I just met 5 minutes ago.
You know, she was going to be something. She was going to go to the U.S. and... little improv 101. She's all upset like she knew her well. Waldo goes, all right, good night. And he goes, I'll be in my room. Call me if you need me. But she's like, no. I want to go to Maria's house immediately.
Because I thought when she said no, I thought this was going to be a setup for like a Crown-style sex scene. Like, oh no, I'm staying with you tonight.
This movie, we're not even going to get to those love scenes. Well, lack of love scenes.
Right.
The love, not physical love, but love scenes of this movie. Again, least titillating movie possible.
Right.
Like, the fact that this movie even has a love story, oh boy. You're right. It does seem like, you know, Chris, that would have been a real uncomfortable sex scene. She's all upset about the death of Maria, and Waldo like starts. He's
making
like,
moves.
Oh, let me give you a little rub on your shoulders there. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, whoops! I touched her. I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So we go to Hannibal's office, and he's screaming at Oddjob about how Maria's body floated up in the harbor and how he didn't clean out her place or get rid of her clothes or basically do anything right. And then he just stands up and goes, hey, and then exits the office.
I think this is that guy's one line in this whole movie.
Yeah, and it's not even really a line. It's just...
No, it's an expression. Hey. And then... later.
So we go to Maria's house. Checkers and Waldo show up, and then... They're like looking around, and she goes, I'm going to sit here for a while, Waldo. And like, she's going to become like a medium all of a sudden. She's like, I'm going to let the walls speak to me, Waldo. It's like, what the fuck is this?
It's like an episode of Ghost Whisperer, like with the most racist version of possible.
And then Oddjob shows up. So Waldo leaves, and he's like, all right, I'll be back at the hotel. Why he's not just waiting outside, I don't know. But he's like, that guy downstairs, he'll give you a ride. She's like, okay, fine. So then he leaves, and then Oddjob shows up, and pulls out a little gun, and she goes, freeze. And he won't freeze, so she shoots him right in the gut. No. Doesn't even stop him.
No. Again, Frankenstein.
Gut shot.
Yeah.
Still walking. Like, not even... It's like in Nicolas Cage in Con Air when he gets shot in the shoulder and he doesn't even flinch, you know? So he comes after her like Frankenstein, just starts tearing up the room, and turning over the beds and everything. And Chris, how does she fight back?
She's just gonna do a weird headstand thing over his neck.
So like, I guess for lack of a better word or phrase, she just kind of has him give her the old mustache ride, and she just kind of leaps her crotch onto the front of his face.
Basically, yeah.
So this guy is like, what, a good 3 feet taller than her or something?
Yeah.
And she just goes, and runs up and dives onto his face and just kind of rides him around the room.
Like, oh, how does it taste?
And rams his head into a shelf.
Shelving. Yeah.
And it caves his head in, and he dies on the ground. And she just kind of looks it over and goes like...
So many like, they ran out of one-liners early on in the film. They could have spread them out.
I know.
For scenes like this.
I know. With all the beginning, you know, you would think, you know, you start talking, are you going to get a vagina, you know? Yeah. Nothing here.
Nothing.
Yeah, because she could have been like, how was the ride? Or
or not even
now that's
like...
what I call head.
Yeah.
But she leaves and gets in the car, and then she tells the cop to go up and call the coroner because she left something upstairs. Very vague. She could have just like, oh yeah, a man came up and I had to kill him. Call the coroner, please. Thank you.
I left something upstairs.
So we go to Hannibal's. He's asking about where Oddjob went. It's been a while. The other guy's like, well, I don't know. I guess I'll take over now. And he tells the guy they need to work fast because the jig is up, apparently. But they need to get Cinderella and put her into their plan. What it is, we don't know.
No.
Go to the hotel. Okay, so the driver is now... made a deal with the parking attendant guy to show him where Checkers is staying. He breaks into her room, and he walks in, and he sees her. And this gets so racist so quickly. Not only racist, anti-Semitic in a very weird way. So the driver walks in, sees her, and he goes,
oh, yeah. I knew it. You Checkers Goldberg. That fucking Chinese Jew, he half cheek. And you ain't busting me again.
Like, he has the time to just recite this in the heat of finally being seeing this woman. Gun drawn.
When did they decide to get all like... First of all, we've never discussed her even being Jewish, other than apparently her name being Checkers Goldberg. And then this guy's got to have like the most bizarre anti-Asian, anti-Semitic rant. So he pulls out a gun, he's going to shoot her, and she does all these flips and runs around the room, and he misses her. He runs off, she chases after him. He's like running up to the roof, and she shoots him in the ass while he's on this ladder. Basically, she just chases him around the roof.
Yeah.
Waldo and that other cop run up, and basically she's got him. That's it. They arrest him.
Done.
It's over. That's a wrap on Ike. We'll never see him again.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your racist remarks, sir. You've
padded the script quite nicely.
This poor man has only had about 10 lines of dialogue, and 3 of them included the word chink, and another 2 anti-Semitic rants. So we go to Hannibal's. Cinderella comes to visit Hannibal. He tells her she could be a real star, but there's one thing stopping her, Chris. And what's that?
Her chest.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
This gets really uncomfortable because we have to basically... Okay, so he says something about how if you want to be famous and be a big star in America, you need a boob job.
Yeah.
Or he says breast enhancement, right?
Or augmentation.
Yeah, and augmentation. And Cinderella's like, what augmentation mean? Because not only is she, from China, but she's also fucking retarded. She's not only is she from China, but she's also like has the intellect of a 5-year-old. Oh yeah, what augmentation? What a racist. So instead of him just kind of talking it off, we listen to Rod Steiger describe in detail what a boob job is. I mean, he goes into full detail. Goes, well, first they cut the flap under your chest where your breast is, and then they put in an implant, and then they put it back up, and it's like a medical procedure like tape that he's reciting.
It's a term. It's a term that they use in cosmetic surgery. What they do is they make a slit, and then they lift up the flap, and then they put in the silicones. Relatively speaking, it's absolutely painless.
And then she says, well, I got to think about it. And, of course, ask her fortune teller. Bong. And he's like, yeah, do that. Cut to Checkers screaming in a slow motion jump kick.
They went toward.
So what happens, Chris?
So for no reason, we see the slow motion screaming jump kick through a door, which is apparently part of Waldo's personal home gym. And he's like in the middle of a rep. He's like, "What the fuck?" He just goes in a tirade, and this reminds me of that scene in Lost Faith with Steve Nakota's lifting that weight and just throws it. Yeah. This is like the equivalent of like her trying to do a scene like that.
Yeah. It's exactly like that.
This is like them trying to make her just seem like she's off the handle, flying off the handle. She's uncontrollable. She's just out on a rampage. This is like the Linda Blair Savage Streets rampage mode.
And he says to her, he goes, why did you do that? Why didn't you use the knob? And then she just starts screaming about how they smuggle drugs in the States by putting them into girls' implants. Yeah. And then when they get over to the States, they take out the drugs and replace them with implants, which sounds insane.
Yeah.
However, this really happened.
Yes, it did.
I think the interesting thing is, though, that it happened after this movie was made.
Yeah. You gotta wonder.
Do you think that somebody actually was like, oh, that's a good idea?
Yeah. I really do think so.
Okay, so Waldo says they've done this with 56 girls so far this year. So she tells Waldo that she'll go undercover and go to the surgery, and they'll bust him there. And he's like, I don't want you to go. And she's like, I'm going to go. And then the worst scene in the entire movie happens is she runs away, and Waldo goes,
No, you're not. I'm not going to let you do it. I can't let you. I love you for crack's fucking sake.
And then Checkers stops by the door. And she turns around. The music swells. He tells her he's always loved her. She has to have known. Yeah, she knows.
What is love?
She's like, Waldo, I've been feeling your heart on for 10 months. Every time you stand behind me, I can feel. I know it's not your hand, Waldo.
Yeah, and I know it's not your gun.
Yeah, I know it's not your gun. There's always something poking me in the back, Waldo. I know what it is. But she goes, it's not a good time right now, Waldo. We're in the middle of a big case of our lives. We can't talk about it now. And she kind of walks away, and he's like, well, tell me you'd at least admit it, that you feel the same way about me. Admit it. And then she comes back, and she goes, yeah. But not until we hang Hannibal.
Yeah. Not till we hang Hannibal.
Because I thought they were going to break into that Devo song. Yeah. Like that was going to play immediately after.
He should have responded, because he says, Hannibal, you're a dead man. After, when she walks away, he should have been like, well, you've sure hung me.
Yeah. Well, I'll be back. I'll be out there in 15 minutes. He goes to the bathroom.
So we go to a limo. Cinderella and Hannibal are riding to a location. Waldo and the cops are following them in a helicopter, literally right above the limo.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wonderful way to creep on.
Yeah.
Wonderful way to observe. Let's just get the old helicopter, fly it right above the limo. And there's a part where Waldo goes, those backup cars are too close. Get them away. They're too close.
And the guy in the car who's receiving this on the radio, the walkie-talkie, the antenna is sticking out the door out the window like 3 feet.
And they're like, slow down. He's like, oh, okay. Slam on the brakes. They'll never know. Also, by the way, did we mention they're on a country road? Like a 2-lane road in the middle of nowhere. And there's a fucking helicopter following this car and like 3 other cars behind him, including a giant army truck. He'll never know.
But the best part is,
it's got tinted windows, right?
With Checkers, I'm sorry, Cinderella keeps like poking her eyes around like the window, like, oh.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I don't know, we're a hospital around here.
But her eyes clearly keep going up to the helicopter above them.
Yeah, she's like, oh,
like he's not like Hannibal's not like, what are you looking at out there? What's up there? No, he just ignores it. Like, oh, you know, them Chinese, I'll tell you.
He's like, I don't know. I just love this girl. For some reason, I love her. And we're going to find out why. The most useless scene.
Oh, yeah.
So they pull up to some compound with all these soldiers. And basically the cop, so we cut to the helicopter. The cop's like, tell Waldo, he's like, we can't go in there because they won't let us or something.
Yeah.
It's off limits. We don't know what it is. It's like, well, somebody's got to live there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a political thing.
What do you mean political? You would at least know who lives there.
Exactly.
Oh, nope. Orders from the top. Can't even know who lives there.
It's like a Bin Laden compound situation.
We live in such a shithole of a country we don't even know. So much corruption. Argentina, it's great. Come here. Thanks for letting us film.
See you at the premiere.
So we go to the estate, and Cinderella and Hannibal go to this giant house. Waldo and the cops call in their backup. Hannibal and Cinderella go down into some sort of dungeon-esque basement that all of a sudden turns into a hospital with all these old people that work there. So, like, the doctor and all his nurses, like, you know what I just figured out? These are fucking Nazis. Because that doctor's like all super old and everything, and all these nurses are old. And you know how all those Nazis ran away to Argentina?
Did, yeah. Oh,
I think
shit.
they're supposed to be like Nazi surgeons, and that's why they're all underground and doing this shit here. And maybe this whole estate is like some weird Nazi estate, actually.
I never thought of that.
I just thought of it while we were doing
Well, I
this.
think you're putting way too much thought into the plot than they would have. I'm going to say it's not.
I'm going to say it is.
Oh, okay.
I win. So fuck you, Chris.
Aren't we all winners for watching this movie?
So Cinderella keeps asking all these questions, and Rod Steiger's like kind of getting annoyed by it. He's just like, "Oh, would she just shut up already?" Because she's like, "Oh, how long operation take? How big are you gonna make it? Oh," and then Rod Steiger walks in with like a tin can, and she's like, "Oh, all of that going in me?"
Steiger's like, oh, for God fucking sake, shut the fuck up.
Because he loses it at one point.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, every doctor, get the fuck out of here. Get your nurses, get the fuck out of here. And he goes, all right, Cinderella, come to my office. So
I thought for sure she was going to get whacked.
Yeah, I thought he was pissed at her. Like, he's like, all right, the jig is up.
Yeah.
But no, he goes into this office. And this is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He sits her down. He goes, sit down. You know, you remind me of this Vietnamese girl I helped a long time ago. And then she betrayed me. So I shot her. And I wrote, what is going on? Why are we hearing this? Basically what happens is Waldo and the cops land. There's this big like fight where they just hide behind the same planter the whole fight.
Like, I didn't even get a shot in. And then there's a part where he's firing his gun on the ground sideways. On his side, the gun is sideways, firing on the ground. He's like,
you can see the grass is getting pushed up. You know, like,
can you count how many backup he brought? There's 4 of them. There's 4 guys hiding under this planter with their backs against it.
Yeah, and like, so the part we glossed over is like the cops bust. So Waldo and the cop land their helicopter in the middle of the estate's backyard.
Yeah.
And then these like army guys and these cops bust through the front of this gate and like run through a thing and like shoot up all these guys. And then they all go to the same planter, all like 4 of them. And they all just start firing their guns sideways and like firing at windows, and they never move. They never fucking move until later in the scene. They get up for no reason and run to the other side of the planter and then just start shooting from there. This is the worst choreographed gunfight I've ever seen. It's like I guess this was the last day and they're like, well, fuck, we gotta wrap it. Mr. Steiger said we can't shoot anymore.
I mean, the bullets are grazing the grass.
Just like, chick, 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 chick.
They're mowing the lawn at this point.
So we go to downstairs when all this is going on. Oh, okay. And then Rod Steiger like runs out of the room and he grabs a gun and he leaves Cinderella there and he tells his goon to watch her. And she's in that room with his goon and she goes, I hear pop sounds. We go outside.
Someone make it a popcorn.
I hear pop sounds. We go see what's happening outside.
Just go sit down.
Pop sounds.
Fucking please.
Again, like I said, it's like not bad enough that she has literally the worst stereotypical Asian accent. We have to say, oh, a pop sound.
This is mad TV level.
What the fuck is this?
You know, one, he looking like a man. Same shit. But it's supposed to be serious. It kills me.
It's so bad. Basically, the goon tells her, stay put. And then Cinderella starts doing a dance for him. And he gets kind of confused. He's like, "What? Wait, why are you doing that? Hey, wait, stop doing that dance. What are you doing? Oh, I get it. You're doing a dance for Brody, huh? You picked a strange time to do this." And then she kicks him right in the face.
Yeah. This is, again, one of those kind of Kermit the Frog kind of kicks.
This is, but okay, yeah, it is. It's just a little dummy hits him, you know? Kermit the Frog makes an appearance and slaps him.
What are you doing? Hey, why are you doing that? You're gonna do a little dance for Brody, eh? You're picking a strange time to do this, you know?
Checkers is like, oh, I gotta get out of this jam. What do? A sexy dance. And even the henchman's just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop it. This is not in the script. What is she? Hello? Is anybody gonna cut or? Then she kicks him and then punches him and throws him to the ground, and then we go to like the cops, and that's when they like go to the other side of the planter, and then these other cops, these like backup cops show up, or like a whole army cops. Like the whole army shows up, like this giant helicopter.
But they all can't fit around the planter is a problem.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, I guess we got to stay at the chopper, guys. There's no room at that planter for us, and that's our only cover. Maybe we should just start shooting the grass like them. Should we shoot the bad guys or shoot the grass? Please advise.
Yeah. Sit rep immediately.
So Cinderella fights that goon. Rob Steiger comes out and he looks at the... Okay, do you notice this? Like, Rob Steiger comes out during the gunfight and he just looks over a balcony for a second and then he just goes back inside.
Do you think they tricked him into that shot? Like he couldn't be bothered. Like, Mr. Side, we need you to come out. We have a question for you. And they're all right, roll. We got him. He just looks out and goes, huh. And just walks right back in.
That is what he does. He just goes, huh. He looks like kind of confused, like, all right, that's it. Yeah. That's it. I'm done. Yeah. You got my shot. I'm out. Done for the day.
Oh, God.
So eventually Cinderella wins the fight with that goon by, she like gets her in that leg lock on the ground and then she stabs him in the side with a knife using her foot, like a real Miami Connection.
Yes.
Move. Then we go to the cops still shooting it out while Checkers sneaks into a basement. And there's that great part. She's in this bizarre, like, Nazi bunker below this house. And these guards are, like, sneaking around the thing. And she sees one guy coming around the corner. And so she stands there and does that, like...
and watches for his shadow. This is the only way she knows he's coming.
And she does her little Kermit the Frog kick.
Yeah.
Where she just... he, like, walks around the corner and she goes... like just real quick, and then another guy comes up and she like drops down from a pipe and she's like holding it and like snaps his neck with her feet.
Yeah,
but it looks like so bad.
I mean, it looks great in the trailer because you think it's like gonna be one of those hokey, amazing exploitation films,
but it's like the way it's executed in the movie is like so poorly. It looks. This man is like a hulking 6 foot tall, like 200-pound muscle dude.
Yeah,
and these like 5 foot tall tiny legs wrap around his neck, which they can't even cover his neck.
No,
and snap his neck, and it's just like Kermit the Frog snapping a man's neck, basically. So the cops finally break into the house. At this point, I'm wondering where the hell Rod Steiger went, if he just went home for the day and said, yeah, call me when you need me.
Yeah.
And so basically Waldo and Checkers just sneak around the house killing more guards. Runtime. But there is one great part where Waldo shoots that man and he falls down all those stairs.
Yeah.
And while he's already dead, obviously, but he looks at the guy in the face and goes, gotcha! Right to his face. I'm like, talking shit to a dead guy, huh? Mm-hmm. So basically, they wander around the house for about 5 more minutes until Rod Steiger slowly walks out to the back door, and then he gets in a car, and Checkers is sitting in the back seat holding a gun, and he slowly reaches for his handgun, and then Waldo shoots him because for some reason Checkers won't kill him.
I don't know why she wouldn't. Was she so overtaken by that story that he told her?
Oh, he once helped a Vietnamese girl. I'm a Vietnamese girl. Maybe it was me. Do I know him?
Who knows?
It ended with him saying she betrayed him, so he shot her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that's a nice story.
Not at all.
Anyways, it ends with the coroners packing up the bodies. You just see a crane shot of Rod Steiger, like, laying in that car dead. That's a wrap on Rod. He can finally fly back to the States and just go home and forget this ever happened. But boy, did that build a nice pool, that paycheck. Bought a nice vacation home in Hawaii for himself.
Timeshare.
So Waldo and Checkers leave with all these folders and blueprints under their arms, and then Waldo says something like, oh, Checkers, I got something for you in my back pocket, read it. And she like pulls out this note and it's like, I've been transferred. And he's like, yeah, you're being promoted or something. And she's like, why? And then we don't ever find out.
No.
And then she's like, well, do you still love me? As they're getting into the helicopter, and he's like, more than ever.
More than yesterday.
And then they get in the chopper and kiss while the door closes. Yeah. They don't even really kiss. It's like the most, like, do you think Sterling was like, all right, nobody's going to kiss my wife in this movie, and nobody's going to get close to her.
Yeah.
Like, this is just, it's like the least sexual chemistry I've ever seen in a movie is between her and Waldo. Mm-hmm. Checkers and Waldo, by the way. Wonderful names.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't buy... They don't... Yeah, the way they try and sell this relationship, it's like, you know, selling ice in the fucking Antarctic.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, it should have a love story, right?
Yeah.
Just throw it in. Recommendation?
God. Just to watch a certain performance alone. I would say try to watch it as a comedy. But
yeah, I would say I'm going to give it like a a soft recommend.
Yeah.
Because it is very funny. Like, it is horribly offensive and funny. Tiana Alexander, I think there's a reason she quit acting. Like, she's just not good at it.
No.
She has no screen presence, but her incredible portrayal of Cinderella Pooh deserves a watch.
Can you imagine just like that Oscar nomination? Just that name being spoken in such an eloquent way at the Oscars. Like, and for Best Lead Actress, Tiana Alexander as Cinderella Pooh.
Or Checkers Goldberg. Also, I'd watch it for Rod Steiger.
Yeah.
Because if you ever want to see a man who just cannot wait for you to call cut, this is it.
Yeah.
You hear that sound?
How could you not? How could you not?
If this is the first time you've listened to this podcast, we always talk about the first episode of this podcast, 1977's The Van, starring Stuart Goetz and Danny DeVito, about a ginger boy who gets a garish yellow van and goes around trying to lure women into it so he can have those magical, sexual Cinderella Pooh encounters. And we always wonder, how would Bobby and DeVito fit into the world of every movie we cover? Chris, how would Bobby and DeVito fit into Catch the Heat?
Okay, so down in the surgery basement, where they're doing surgery on these women, and Bobby and DeVito decide, they find out about this, and they're like, Bobby, there's this underground bunker, and they do surgery on women's breastises, okay? These women are knocked out. That means we can get our feel out. Bobby, you think what I'm thinking? Hamburgers? Bobby, focus. We're gonna go down the pizza parlor? Bobby, we're gonna steal some scrubs, break into this joint.
Do you want to steer a joint?
Later, Bobby, later. Go in here, pretend to be surgeons, go in there and do what we need to do, okay? And so they distract the actual surgeons, like they.
So the whole goal is to just get a quick feel on.
Yeah. That's it.
This whole thing, breaking into an old Nazi's house, just so they can get a quick feel. Yeah. All flying all the way down to Argentina.
Yeah.
Booking flights.
Yeah. Putting the van on a ferry.
Going under disguise as doctors, risking death.
Yeah.
Just to get a quick feel.
Yeah.
And then accidentally Bobby knocks over the cocaine or the heroin and it just spills all over the crowd. And there's like a mad dash for them to pick it up and put it back in the bag.
No, but then now they have to like actually do the surgery. Because like one of the Nazis comes in and goes, "Oh, who are you?" And like, we're the doctors. And they're like, "Okay, we'll get to work." Yeah, and he oversees them doing the surgery and they have no idea what they're doing.
Like Bobby has like a hairnet on his poop.
It looks like a yarmulke because it's so big.
He's sitting on the top.
Yeah.
And DeVito's like, Bobby, hand me that scalpel. What's a scalpel?
He like just kind of like pokes a smiley face into her chest and doesn't really know what he's doing.
And Rod Steiger just walks on set and he's just like, oh boy. So I'm gonna call one of our other features on this one.
Oh, you don't have What Would Bobby and DeVito Do?
Oh, I'd like Joe. I'm gonna come. I have another one I kept thinking about. Was
okay.
I got one for WWBD, which is What Would Bronson Do? We've tried to just think about how would Charles Bronson deal with the challenges presented to him in these movies, and boy, this to me would be the trifecta of terribleness for him.
Yeah.
Is I could see him going to that chief and him being like, so basically Bronson gets promoted to the FBI. Well, okay, I know, I got it.
Oh yeah.
When she gets promoted at the end of the movie, her new partner is Bronson. And I see Bronson going up to the chief, the FBI chief, and being like, ooh, chief. Oh boy, I don't know if you heard about my work in LA, but Chief, it's kind of a trifecta here. She's a woman, she's an Asian, and she's a Jew. I don't know if I can deal with this. I have problems with sympathetic problems for the Asian and Jewish and woman communities, if you know what I mean. And he's just like, Bronson? we let you come into the FBI because they said they didn't have room for you over in LA anymore. They've never seen so many suspects sodomized in their lives. They can't prove it was you. In fact, the only thing is you're getting medals of recommendation because you solved big cases and put a child molester behind bars, but your racist shit ain't gonna fly around here. I just would love to see a movie with could you imagine a movie where Charles Bronson had to act with Tiana Alexander?
Oh my god, I can just see. And he would ad-lib, and I would first scene, first take, and action. Put it in your mouth.
I can imagine her going like, oh, Charles, no, don't call me Charles, Mr. Bronson, please. And she goes, oh, Mr. Bronson, maybe I was thinking in this scene I might try something different. No. And the director calls action, and she's all dancing around going like, oh, look at this picture on this wall, who's this, and he just goes, nope, cut, nope, not on the page. My friend Rod told me about you. Said you were a real pain in the ass. So yeah, that's about it for the Ben. You got anything else?
I'm tapped.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us. If you enjoy this show, please rate and review us on iTunes. You can also get in touch with us, grindbin@gmail.com. Our website is grindhousefilm.com. We write posts for every single episode. We write a blog about it, as well as welcome everybody to comment there. We have good comments on every episode with our regular listeners. Come and join. Getting new ones all the time, so thank you for coming on there. You can also tweet at us at GrindPod, and you can find us on Facebook. We have conversations there all the time, as well as Instagram.
Yes, and if you will be so kind as to hit that rectangular purple subscribe button in iTunes on the podcast, we will be ever so grateful. Bobby, put on the hospital gown.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the key. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no real poach.
Hello, pizza man.